marvelous hello, friends and loved ones. How was your year? So, 2019 was a great year for video games. I've got my top 10, and since I didn't get to do one of these videos last year, I am really excited to do one now. Now, before we begin, please remember that, like always, I'm not saying these were the best games of 2019, just my personal top 10. So if a game you like isn't on this list, I either didn't enjoy it as much as you did, or, much more likely, I just didn't play it. I actually missed out on a lot of games I wanted to try last year, like Luigi's Mansion 3, Devil May Cry 5, and The Outer Worlds, just to name a few. Then there are games like Watam or parts of the Yakuza Remastered trilogy that did come out in 2019, but I ordered the physical edition, so I won't be playing them until next year. But at the very least, I wanted to give them an honorable mention here. And then of course there's Space Venture, a game I've mentioned wanting to play since my first start of the year video back in 2016. And I'm going to keep mentioning it until the day I get to play it for myself. So, with all of that out of the way, let's get started. So, number 10 may be kind of cheating. Technically, these are 3 games, and technically none of these games are from 2019, which is why I'm putting them all the way at number 10. But I got so excited for the Ace Attorney Trilogy to come out last year. I even bought a physical copy of the Japanese version while I was in China, which has a full English translation. It's great to be able to play this classic trilogy on the go. Wait. It's really great to be able to play this classic trilogy on my TV. Wait. Look, there really isn't much for me to say here. Ace Attorney is my all-time favorite game series, and having the original trilogy in HD on modern hardware has just been awesome. If you haven't played any of these games, consider picking up this one and experiencing these 3 classics for yourself. I promise they're totally worth it as brilliant, well-crafted murder mysteries that often cross into being downright hilarious. I will always recommend these titles, and can't wait to play Ace Attorney 7 when it eventually comes out. Objection! Okay, yeah, it's another trilogy of games that technically aren't 2019 games, but that's why I'm getting these out of the way quickly. I'd honestly just about given up hope that we'd see the collection of Mana stateside, since the Japanese one was a couple years old by this point. But at E3, they really dropped the game in our laps. The original Final Fantasy Adventure, the classic Secret of Mana, and of course officially localized for the first time, Trials of Mana. I absolutely adore the series of Mana, and am psyched to have these games brought to new audiences. If I'm being honest, I think I do prefer the Ace Attorney trilogy to this one, but Trials of Mana definitely helped the collection score the higher spot. It alone is well worth picking up the entire collection. Getting to play through the campaign as 6 unique heroes on their own journeys, and the way they intertwine is just beautiful. I don't want to say too much because I may actually do an episode on this game one day, but man, it was so cool to play an officially localized version after all these years. These are all amazing RPGs of their era, and going back to them now still feels pretty great. I can't wait to pick up the Trials of Mana remake later this year. Alright, that's it for trilogies, I promise. I mean, I did play another trilogy pack this year, but it's not gonna be on this list. I love classic beat-em-ups. It's one of my favorite genres to just relax and play through with a buddy. And last year, WayForward and Arxis brought us a beautifully stylistic entry in the genre with River City Girls. The combos are fun, the pixelated graphics look amazing, the dialogue and voice acting are spot on, and the music is perfect for this game. The only reason I've got this title as high on the list as I do is because I got a little frustrated with the running mechanic, and also, these types of games are best played with a friend, which I do not currently have. Which, as far as I know, is not the game's fault. just it did affect my personal enjoyment of it. If you've got a buddy and love old school beat 'em ups like I do, don't let yourself sleep on this title. It's an absolute knockout. The 3DS was an absolutely amazing console that many would agree officially ended its run in 2019. Sure, there may still be a few odds and ends coming out for it, but I think many will agree its final big release was Persona Q2 New Cinema Labyrinth. This midquel to the Persona 5 story has the Phantom Thieves sucked into a mysterious movie theater where they play out different movie plots to help a girl named Hikari, eventually teaming up with the teams from Persona 3 and 4. And also, the Femc is there. While the game didn't improve on much from the original title gameplay-wise, I think it did a better job handling the overall story and atmosphere, giving it a leg up on Shadow of the Labyrinth. I absolutely love the movie theater aesthetic, giving it a really unique feel. The dungeons are solid and the character interactions are an absolute treat. This game is a must-buy for any Persona fan, new or old, so get yourself some popcorn and be sure you don't miss out on this awesome 3DS post-credits game.
私は彼で、彼は私?
It's a lovely morning in the village, and you are a horrible goose. I don't think a combination of 13 simple words has ever made so many collective gamers go, "Oh, heck yeah!" Untitled Goose Game from House House is one part puzzle game, one part stealth game, all goose action. At this point, I don't think I can really do much to promote the game. You're either on board with it or you're not. You play as a goose, you can do goose things, and your objective is just to ruin as many people's day as possible by being a goose. The visual style is just gorgeous, and its piano-based music and lack of any kind of a heads-up display were major points in its favor, having it feel more like an overall experience than a game with points or health. It's a simple yet charming indie title that actually had a lot more meat on its bones than I was expecting. And the only reason it's not higher on the list is because... Hey! What are you doing? Get out of here! No! No! I've always been a fan of mascot platformers. Even if I don't get into the game, I love seeing these cartoony characters and the worlds they inhabit. Whether that character is an Italian plumber, a phantom thief raccoon, or an actual glove, a colorful and charming platformer will always capture my attention. And new Super Lucky's Tale, the Switch-exclusive enhanced port of the older Xbox One title, grabbed me in nearly every aspect. And I want to be clear, there is a massive emphasis on enhanced with this version. Lucky is such a fun character, and his movements are fluid and fun to use. This burrowing mechanic is such a blast. This is a great platformer for gamers of any age, with plenty of collectibles. I think my only complaint is that the boss fights were a little lackluster, except of course for the Pop Diva Kitty. But in a game where I can dress a fox up like a hot dog vendor and help save a concert at a pun-filled veggie festival for southern worms, oh yeah, I'm in. Simple as that. Playful Studios really upped their game with this version of their platformer, and I can't wait to see what they do in the future. I'm already awaiting a sequel, which thankfully the game does hint is coming. Hey, so, fun fact about me, I have never played a Dragon Quest game. Like, ever. and I promised myself that I would pick this game up, and wow, am I glad I did. This game just felt like an incredible callback to early era JRPGs, and I see now why it's such a beloved series. The bright colors work perfectly with the gorgeous Toriyama character designs, the combat system was engaging, and all the characters managed to leave an impression. I mean, except 11, he's kind of a blank slate. Not only that, but the whole thing with classic mode is an absolute treat. I haven't finished the game yet, but I'm already considering playing through the game again in this mode. I generally have a hard time getting really invested in non-Megaten turn-based RPGs these days, but Dragon Quest XI's Echoes of an Elusive Age Definitive Edition is as much fun to play as it is a mouthful to say.
Who else wants some?
I've been a Pokemon fan for over 20 years now, but Shield really was something special for me. I don't know if it's because I avoided seeing the Gen 8 Pokemon before playing, so for the first time since Gold version, I was actually seeing Pokemon and going, whoa, what is that? Or maybe it was because I did a successful Nuzlocke run on my first playthrough, but I really loved the new games. The number of new Pokemon was on the lower side, but I found myself liking a lot of them. The characters were all really memorable for me, especially in its gym leaders, and the inclusion of camping and cooking curry really made bonding with my Pokemon feel like more of an intimate experience. I absolutely loved Pokemon Shield version, and can't wait to see what the future of Pokemon on home consoles is going to look like. Since I first played it in early 2018, I fell in love with the Yakuza series, and 2019 brought us a very interesting spin-off to the series in the form of Judgment. It's really cool seeing and exploring the streets of Kamurocho in a completely new type of story. Rather than a disgraced Yakuza, you play as Yagami, a disgraced attorney, and this game focuses more on mystery and investigation-style gameplay than the Yakuza titles. It's kind of amazing playing through a completely different type of game in the familiar city of Kamurocho, and it really reminds me that this small neighborhood is alive and full of stories to tell. And yes, just like the series it stems from, the stories can go from incredible drama of raw humanity to absolute WTF wackiness on a dime, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I think the combat wasn't as good as the Yakuza games, but I absolutely loved the murder mystery aspect of it. Without a doubt, Judgment is one of my all-time favorite games from this year.
And stay down.
If there was any one game of 2019 that felt like a breath of fresh air this year, it was I Love You, Colonel Sanders. This dating sim was a beautiful blend of advertising and gameplay, a truly spectacular combination of 11 herbs and spices that gave me a story far better than anything your precious Kojima could ever come up with more layers than one of their always fresh buttery biscuits that brings as much heat to the table as a Nashville hot crispy Colonel sandwich, and characters sweeter than the KFC exclusive Mountain Dew Sweet Lightning available at select locations, I Love You, Colonel Sanders was, without a doubt, oh come on, obviously I'm kidding. My number one was Fire Emblem Three Houses. No other game of 2019 had me transfixed to my system as much as Three Houses did. I quickly fell in love with the world and characters this game had to offer. I adored the school and genuinely enjoyed exploring it. I think this game had some of the best characters to date, and just had a lot of style throughout it. I loved the setting of the monastery and the school approach to the storytelling. Coupled with the fantastic tactics-based gameplay the series is known for, this game just had so much going for it that I genuinely had a hard time putting it down. The game starts out fun and then takes a huge turn with the time skip, and seeing the way these younger characters I'd grown fond of ended up turning out was just an adventure. Now, admittedly, I've only played the Golden Deer route so far, but there's so much to this game that I can't wait to eventually try out the other paths. Fire Emblem Three Houses is a gorgeous, engaging, character-driven thrill ride that I loved from start to finish, and I'm more than happy to call it my #1 title of 2019.
Should I have held back?
A bit disappointing.
And so, there you have it, my personal top 10 games of 2019. Which I am just now realizing basically boiled down to a bunch of Switch games I played. Now, remember, there were a lot of fantastic titles in 2019, from giants in the industry to smaller teams of dedicated indie creators. So instead of telling me what games I forgot to talk about, instead, let me know what your favorite games last year were in the comments below. 2019 had a lot of really great games in it, and even though this new year has just started, I can already name a lot of amazing looking titles I'm looking forward to in 2020. So, to all of you watching at home, thank you for your continued support, and I hope you have yourselves a fantastic year.